Hello and welcome back to the channel. Amber here, and today we are jumping into the highlights of episode 4, Daughter of the Night. We begin the episode with Ishamael releasing a woman from the seal on her metaphysical prison. He recites some prophecy in the old tongue. We move to Cairhien, and an older woman in her lavish estate prepares for her day. Again, this is another location where the set design is beautiful. Plot twist incoming, but her older sister is in fact Moiraine Domadrid, and again, I like that this is being explored because the Aes Sedai don't age as fast as everyone else, and the books tend to not focus on how much this would impact their lives, hardening them in a way that makes them closed off and detached. Rand proceeds to help clean up the mess he made by burning down Celine's inn. She doesn't blame him and invites him to go on a retreat to her cabin. Within the tower, Nynaeve mourns the loss of the life she lost within the arches, but puts on her great serpent ring. Egwene doesn't understand what all she just lost, telling her none of it was real. Lan is being kept under the careful watch of Alanna, and again, the costume and sets are bustling with life. She presents him with an option: go to the tower with her and her warders. She also adds that Nynaeve is the fastest woman to go through her accepted test since Cadsuane said die. Another name drop for Cadsuane makes me really think that this character will show up in the next season, and they are preparing us now by having us remember the name. Another reason I think this is because of how much attention is being given to the aging process of Aes Sedai this season. First with Liandrin, second with Moiraine, and it's mentioned at the lunch table that Alanna might be slowing down in her old age. If you haven't read the books, all you need to know is that Cadsuane is hundreds of years old. She's one of the most powerful Aes Sedai the White Tower has ever seen since Nynaeve. Rumor has it that she could be played by Sheree Agdashlu, but some people think that she might play another character called Elaida. But so far, the TV show hasn't even mentioned the name of Elaida, which is curious considering how big a role she plays. Lan isn't sold on being reunited with Nynaeve just yet, but Alanna begins to explain how there is something in Moraine's past that changed her, seemingly overnight. This is a reference to a prophecy she experienced in the book New Spring, and I talk about it here if anyone wants the backstory on that. We move to Moiraine, and she explores her old room. A small Easter egg is when she goes to touch her music box, you can make out a piece of paper with cycles of the moon on it. She swipes some wine and heads into the city to look for Rand. She meets with Logain, and it becomes apparent that Moiraine has stayed true to her Cairhien nature. Covert operations and subterfuge. Putting pieces on the chessboard is something she excels at, and it appears that she has set Rand up at his job to have him get close to Logain. It's also possible she had Logain relocated to this place in an effort to bring them together. Previously, I assumed it was the pattern putting them together, but no, it was Moiraine. I like this interaction because both characters have been cut off from using the one power. The big difference is that Moiraine is still actively keeping herself busy, working on something important, and it's keeping her sane. It might be a possibility that if Logain is able to do the same, he could pull himself out of the pits of despair, but she offers him a way out. Help her find Rand and teach him to channel, and she will assist his suicide. I'm going to make a prediction that if he becomes a mentor, it will bring him to some semblance of mental wellness instead of the other option, the knife. Another small Easter egg here, but Logain names Celine's inn as the Crescent, which is neat. Back at the tower, Egwene is annoyed that she can't fix Nynaeve's pain, while Nynaeve walks through the halls. She finds a newfound higher status. Novices now bow to her. Word has spread that she channeled within the arches. This is a big deal and most likely how the arches appeared to her, even when her test had already ended. Aes Sedai had believed this was impossible to do, but Nynaeve just continues excelling. The warders are hoping she will choose them to bond, but Nynaeve only has eyes for one man, and Lan hasn't given up on Moiraine yet. And Liandrin gets a letter and confronts Leanne. News has traveled about the Shan-Chen attack. Leanne is acting as sitting Amerlin, and Swan Sanche's whereabouts still haven't been mentioned. I'm really curious as to what she's been up to. Leandrin is upset that Leanne hasn't sent the Aes Sedai to deal with it, but it's actually a really good question. She also says that if the Amerlin fails, you'll fall with her, which feels like a threat. Is Leandrin planning on making a move to challenge the Amerlin? Could this be a hint that Leandrin thinks she's better suited to wearing the stole? We move to Para and Elias and the wolves, and this is where Perrin learns the true nature of his abilities, and it's about time. Perrin is a wolf brother. He receives images from the wolves, has heightened senses, prophetic dreams, and a psychic communication with the wolves. I don't know if the show will include all of these, so we will have to wait and see. The highlight of this episode for me is Perrin meeting Hopper and their immediate bond over losing a mate. Hopper is such an important character for Perrin's development, and this moment where he shows him his name is really charming. We also learn that Elias and the wolves don't go near women who can channel. In the books, Elias was a warder, and when his powers awoke, they didn't understand what he was, so they wanted to gentle him, believing that his powers were connected with the one power. Elias escaped, but killed a couple of warders in the process. Moiraine checks the guards at the gate looking for Rand, and the guards don't give up any information. Celine takes Rand to a scenic viewpoint and tells him this is where she used to take her ex-lover, the only man she ever loved. Rand says the wheel never gives people what they want, but Celine says if you want something, you have to take it. Pretty cavalier to just think you can subvert your destiny in this world, but it's a perfect line coming from Celine. We finally move to Matt and Min, and this is a plot point that leaves me intrigued. Min goes to get them rooms at an inn. She's also trying to get Matt really drunk. She's meeting someone, but she doesn't know who. We have to suspect whoever she's meeting was sent by Leandrin. Nynaeve sits in the basement of the Arches, mourning the loss of her daughter. Leandrin speaks openly about her son, getting Nynaeve to trust her. She then tells her that the spies report that a group of Shinarans, an Ogier, and a blacksmith have been captured by invaders. We move to Lan, and Yvonne says, warders aren't equal to Aes Sedai. They remind them that they are not gods. One of my favorite moments of this interaction is where Yvonne says that he and Alana want the same thing, a triumph under the light and dessert after. I like how gluttonous they have made Alana. She likes food, she likes fighting, and she loves to... Lan needs to explore Moraine's deepest motivations before anything can be mended between the two of them. Maxim ushers Alana into Lan's room and shows her the parchment Lan previously stole from Moiraine, which Moiraine bought in episode 1. Back in Cairhien, Moiraine returns to her sister's estate. Another Easter egg, but the wardrobe has imagery of Avendora Ladera. This tree has a deep significance to the nation of Cairhien by way of its relationship to the Aiel. To make the story short, it's the cutting of the last tree of its kind given to the Cairhienin as a gift from the Aiel. Moraine's uncle, King Lamed Damodred, turned the tree into a throne, resulting in a war with the Aiel. The same war that resulted in thousands of Aiel crossing the Westlands and Rand's mother giving birth to him outside Tar Valon. Moiraine and her sister talk a little bit about how their uncle ruined their family name and how their father hoped Moiraine would return and fix it. We also learn that Moraine's nephew is going to marry the queen. This is a change from the book, but what makes it interesting is that we will most likely be getting some Game of Houses and political intrigue in the future episodes. I have to wonder if the character of Barthanes will be changed from a cousin of Moraine's to her nephew, which makes his storyline very intriguing considering the next words by Moraine's sister is, "And then no one will spit on House Damodred again." Her sister then explains that all of Moraine's spies within the city belong to her now. If she wants to find Rand, she needs to ask her sister. Back at the tower, Elaine and Egwene drink alcohol. Nynaeve kicks Elaine out of her own room, and she shares the news that Perrin has been captured. Egwene will join Nynaeve in a rescue attempt, risking expulsion from the tower. They exit the tower through one of the secret passages, and Elaine follows them. Liandrin shows up, calling Elaine a complication, apologizes, and then knocks them out using the one power. Min dreams in her room in the tavern, and Ishamael shows up. It appears Liandrin promised Min she could take away her visions, so at this point we can infer a couple of things. Liandrin is a dark friend. She most likely had orders to have Nynaeve die in the arches, and now she's working on something for Mat as well, telling Min to take him to Cairhien. We move to Rand and Celine as they sleep outside for some reason. Rand sees a fade and one of them channels, killing it. She feigns being surprised that he can channel. Rand tries to leave. She stops him. Once he admits he loves her, they go inside. We move to Alana, and she shares the parchment with Yvonne once Lan is asleep. They learn that one of the Forsaken, named Lanfear, is loose in the world. Her seal has been broken, and she seeks a new lover. We move to Lanfear and Rand as she binds his arms to the bedpost. She then channels, but then Moiraine rushes in, puts a blade through her chest, and slits her throat. Moiraine tries to explain she's one of the most dangerous of the Forsaken, and they run out the door shortly after. And Lanfear opens her eyes, so apparently she's not dead. And that's the whole episode. For me, the highlights were the background on Perrin and Elias's wolf brother abilities, and Moraine's time with her sister. I think digging deeper into Cairhien and House Damodred is a really fun aspect that isn't explored in the books. If you're a fan of A Song of Ice and Fire, the term Game of Houses should sound familiar, and it plays a moderate role in Book 2 of The Wheel of Time, The Great Hunt. It's also a major aspect of who Moiraine is as a person. She's a powerful channeler, but also excels in her ability to have eyes and ears everywhere in the Westlands. It also adds a lot of world building that I always wanted to see from the pages to the screen. The one plot point that didn't hit me so hard was the Celine reveal, and that's no fault of the show. I'm just a book reader who knew who Celine was the moment she showed up, so it wasn't a surprise, but this is where I want to hear from non-book readers. Did you suspect something? At what point and why? What do you think will happen with her story? In the next few days, I'll be putting out videos, one covering more TV show theories, and I'm excited to talk about a few things from the first half of this season. Make sure you keep an eye out for it because it's got some fun ideas, some regarding Ishamael, Liandrin's son, making her a sympathetic dark friend, why I think Liandrin and Elida's characters will be merged, how Logain will become a mentor to Rand, and more about what it means to swap Barthanes from cousin to nephew. That's it for today. Like and subscribe for more Wheel of Time content, and I will see you back next time.